Hey everybody, this is Andre here with the Kevin Breeze channel, and in this video, we're going to be doing a comparison between the LG K31 Rebel and the Samsung Galaxy A01. To get more information about the pricing and availability of these phones, definitely check the link in the description. The link for the Samsung Galaxy A01 will actually take you right to the phone on Samsung's website, where a lot of the time they have some great trade-in deals that you might not be able to find anywhere else. That being said, let's get started. Now, the LG K31 Rebel has a 5.7-inch LCD display with a resolution of 720p, a PPI of 295, and an aspect ratio of 19:9. The Samsung Galaxy A01 also has a 5.7-inch display, and this one is a PLS LCD with a resolution of 720p, a PPI of 301, an aspect ratio of 19:9, and a screen-to-body ratio of 75.1%. So they do have the same size display, but you can tell that the LG K31 Rebel is a little bit taller, and that is due to its bezels. They are a little bit on the thicker side compared to the Samsung Galaxy A01. So overall, this is going to give the Samsung Galaxy A01 a more modern, sleek look as opposed to the LG K31 Rebel, where the bezels are a little bit on the thicker side, and as such, it's going to look a little bit more old and kind of cheap. As far as the quality of the displays, both of them are very similar. The quality is going to be very much the same. They have the same resolution, same PPI, all of that. The only difference is with the Samsung Galaxy A01, I do think the colors are a little bit brighter and more bold than they are with the LG K31 Rebel. Overall, it's not really that much of a difference, so I wouldn't really say that that's much of a deciding factor. It's more up to your interpretation. But as far as things like content consumption and reading and all of that stuff, anything that really requires you to be able to see the screen well, I think both of these phones are going to be great for that. They may not have giant displays like some of the other phones out there, but I would say 5.7 inches is a pretty decent size without being too big and bulky, so you'll be able to easily carry this phone around while at the same time being able to easily look at things on the phone and be able to consume content decently well. Now, both of these phones have 5 megapixel front-facing cameras, and you can see here they both have water drop notches. I'm not a big fan of water drop front-facing cameras. It is a pretty outdated design. Manufacturers are moving more towards the hole punch look. It doesn't function differently, but it does look a lot nicer, a lot more modern, and a lot better in my opinion. Now, neither of these phones have wireless charging or fingerprint scanners, but the Samsung Galaxy A01 does have face unlock, which is nice. It's unfortunate that these phones don't have fingerprint scanners. That's a feature that most Android phones do have. Usually they have them on the back here. Even the lower end phones do have fingerprint scanners these days. So it's really disappointing that neither of these do, but at least the Samsung Galaxy A01 does have face unlock, whereas the LG K31 Rebel has nothing, so you're stuck with using a PIN or a pattern or a password, all of which I think are pretty inconvenient in comparison to using face unlock. So as far as ease of unlocking the phone combined with security, I do think the Samsung Galaxy A01 does have an advantage here because of the face unlock, which is really nice. But again, I think both of them could do better if they did have a fingerprint scanner. Now, taking a look at the camera setup of these two phones, the LG K31 Rebel has a 13 megapixel rear camera and a 5 megapixel ultra-wide camera. The Samsung Galaxy A01 has a 13 megapixel rear camera as well, and no ultra-wide camera, but a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera to assist with portrait mode. So in theory, the portrait mode should be a little bit better on this phone. Now, it's unfortunate that the Samsung Galaxy A01 doesn't have an ultra-wide camera. That is too bad because Samsung cameras are typically good quality, so the ultra-wide camera would be a pretty good quality too if the Samsung Galaxy A01 did have one, I'm assuming. And the depth sensing camera, although it's nice that it at least has one, isn't really that useful because the LG K31 doesn't have a depth sensing camera, and it still does take good pictures with the portrait mode anyway. So I would rather see an ultra-wide camera on the Samsung Galaxy A01 than a depth sensing camera. Now, these are two pictures taken on the rear cameras of each phone. To my surprise, they look almost exactly the same. I wouldn't say that one is really even better than the other. The only difference I really notice is that the LG K31 Rebel is a tiny bit brighter as far as the exposure goes than the picture taken by the Samsung Galaxy A01. but I think that's how they handled the exposure. Nothing else really. Maybe it focused in a slightly different spot, but other than that, it really looks the same. I wouldn't say there's any clear advantage here. Both of them do have pretty decent cameras for such entry-level phones, so that is pretty impressive. Now, these pictures were taken by the front-facing camera of each phone. Same thing here. It is pretty impressive that they can take pictures this decently. Now, on this one, the differences are a little bit more clear. For whatever reason, it's the opposite here. The picture taken by the Samsung Galaxy A01 is a little bit brighter than the picture taken by the LG K31 Rebel, and it's a little bit more crisp and detailed as well. That being said, for such entry-level, rather featureless phones, they do both take pretty good pictures. Now, both of these phones are able to shoot video in 1080p in both the front and the rear, but also keep in mind that both of these phones have displays of only 720p, so you're not going to actually be viewing the videos in 1080p. Even if you shoot them in that resolution, you're only going to be viewing them in 720p because that is the limitation of the display. But that being said, it is nice that they actually can shoot the videos in 1080p. Now, as far as storage goes, there is a bit of a difference here. The LG K31 Rebel is getting 32 gigabytes of storage with microSD card expansion, up to 32 gigabytes. And the Samsung Galaxy A01 is getting 16 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion, and there's no clear limit on this one. So I definitely think the LG K31 has a lot more internal storage. In fact, double that of the Samsung Galaxy A01. And for such an entry-level phone, the LG K31 is pretty impressive storage-wise, even though there is that 32 gigabyte limit on the microSD card expansion. It still does have quite a bit more storage than the Samsung Galaxy A01, so that is something to keep in mind. Now, internally, the LG K31 is getting 2 gigabytes of RAM with the MediaTek Helio P22 processor, and the Samsung Galaxy A01 is also getting 2 gigabytes of RAM with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 439 processor. We ran Geekbench 5 benchmark tests on both of these phones, and the LG K31 Rebel came back with a single-core score of 135 and a multi-core score of 485. And the Samsung Galaxy A01 came back with a single-core score of 150 and a multi-core score of 539. So a little bit of a difference here, but not a whole lot. They're going to be around a similar level as far as processing power goes. To give you an idea of what this difference in power looks like, we're going to do a quick demonstration. Let's start by opening Google Chrome. That was almost the same. It's hard to tell even which one actually opened it faster. Let's try a web page real quick. So you could see there, the Samsung Galaxy A01 that time did pull up the page a tiny bit faster than the LG K31 Rebel. We're going to try one more page. Again, that time, the Samsung Galaxy A01 did pull it up a little bit faster. So overall, as far as processing power goes, that difference is going to change the experience you get browsing the web just a little bit. It's not really a whole lot of a difference. There's not really going to be a lot that the Samsung Galaxy A01 can do that the LG K31 Rebel can't do, but at the same time, that processing power is there. Now, these phones also do have the same size battery, with a 3000 milliamp hour battery. This battery is on the smaller side, so keep that in mind. So not only are these phones going to get less battery life per charge than some of the other phones out there, but as the battery degrades over time, it will wear out more noticeably. So in conclusion, which one of these devices is better? Overall, I would say that they're really similar. Neither of them have that many features that stand out from each other. But in terms of what we can see here, I would say the LG K31 Rebel might be a little better than the Samsung Galaxy A01 simply because it has a lot more storage. And at such a low level, this is definitely important because the system itself does take up a decent amount of space. So having 16 gigabytes as opposed to 32 is really going to make a difference. Now, 32 really isn't a lot by any means, but compared to 16, it's definitely much better. That being said, there are some arguments against this that could be made. Since neither of these phones really have the processing power to do anything comfortably on larger apps that can't be stored on a microSD card, the only thing that you're going to be doing on these phones that's really going to take up that much space is photos and videos. and those can go on a micro SD card along with other media. And since the Samsung Galaxy A01 does have a higher limit when it comes to micro SD card expansion, then you could argue that combining the better processing power of the Samsung Galaxy A01 and overall better quality of the software with a higher micro SD card would negate the advantage the LG K31 Rebel has. But those are so many steps that at that point you might as well look at other devices. But at the end of the day, both of these phones are very entry level, and I would say that overall, the LG K31 Rebel has a little bit of an edge over the Samsung Galaxy A01. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you want any more information about pricing and availability, or just general information about the phones themselves, definitely watch the full reviews of the devices on the channel, and check the links in the description for pricing and availability info because that's always changing. The link for the Samsung Galaxy A01 is actually going to take you right to the phone on Samsung's website, where a lot of the time they have some great trade-in deals that you might not be able to find anywhere else. And this might help you in your decision making. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.